add that he will, quote, overcome it. CeCe, how tough is it for athletes to deal with injuries like this?
Oh, man, injuries. And I'm starting to see a bad trend. It's following what happened in the NFL this season. A lot of stars, NFL, hurt this season. Now, NBA, I'm not wishing on you, but, man, it's been a rough 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lost a lot of star power, and none worse than the injury in the last year of his contract, a guy who had proven himself to the Pelicans organization, playing the best basketball of his career, probably in the best mental state that we've seen him in since he's coming into the NBA. That Achilles injury is serious. Don't see a lot of people come back the same from that.
His size.
Yes, yes. It's going to be interesting to see what New Orleans does. I mean, how much do they offer him? You're obviously going to pay him the max. Do you go, the full 5 years?
Right.
I mean, that's a tough decision.
The name you're going to hear that's concerning is Elton Brand. Elton Brand was the last really big guy who was an all-star level player to suffer this type of injury. He never fully recovered from it. I just want to note how he suffered the injury, hustling for a loose ball, something he'd been knocked for not doing in Sacramento.
Yes.
I really like Boogie, and I hate that this happened to him.
Well, more bad injury news. This one for the Cavaliers last night. Kevin Love will miss 6 to 8 weeks after breaking his hand in the loss to Detroit. Chris Broussard, what will the injury mean for Isaiah Thomas's role now?
Well, I know what Isaiah thinks it means. More shots, baby. I mean, last night he only took 10, but he was aggressive. He got to the line 13 times, hit 12. Here's a question. Does Isaiah feel like he played well last night? Because he was negative 25.
Yeah.
He scored 19 points, 12 or 13 from the free throw line, but negative 25. Is he in his mind saying, I played well, or does he understand we gotta be better?
And those calls, it's not like most of those were obvious fouls. Some of those calls he got bailed out on. Like that 12 or 13 could have easily been 6 of 7.
I agree.
So he wasn't driving to the rack repeatedly. There a couple were on jump shots. The one, and I mentioned this earlier, possible silver lining of the Kevin Love injury is Isaiah Thomas now, you don't have to worry about this big three. It's LeBron and he. He knows LeBron is the best player on the team.
Does he?
I think
I'm just messing.
I understand Isaiah Thomas has to play with an outsized ego. He knows LeBron's. He definitely didn't think Kevin Love was better than him. Like, no question about it. But Love, I agree with you.
Right.
And so I think that's the one possible bright side is with Love out, if Isaiah Thomas can find more of a rhythm or any rhythm, because this team cannot win a championship without Isaiah Thomas playing excellent basketball. I know you think
Conference championship. Yeah, they can't win a championship.
Either way, you just think they're.
I know you think LeBron can do all, and he can do most. They can't win a championship.
But Kevin Love, to me, is a lot like Chris Bosh. Underappreciated. Really versatile, a lot of skill. Sacrificed a lot of his game offensively, even played further away from the rim than he preferred to do. Man, and Chris Bosh, when he was out of the lineup there in Miami, they were a different team. I just believe Cleveland, Isaiah, especially because Isaiah, there's more pressure on him. That injury did not help him last night. Because without Kevin Love, now because we know we're not going to blame it on LeBron. Yeah. LeBron's going to do his thing.
Yeah, but they could blame it on Ty Lue. Like now they're going to look to him and say, okay, now you got to figure out how to make this team work. Whether you're going to trade someone, whether you're going to bring someone in, you got to get Isaiah Thomas up and running again, figure out a way for smart selection, smart shot selection, not a million shots a game, and figure out a way to get in there and play with LeBron if these two are the guys that are going to take.
Yeah, Ty Lue is always going to be part of the blame. Any coach that's with LeBron, except Popovich,
that's right.
They're going to get blamed. But as a staff, they're going to have to continue to evolve. They were evolving now. Healthy. Now what do they do? Which one of their bigs do they give more minutes to?
To your point, there's now even more pressure on Isaiah Thomas, and we'll see if pressure bursts pipes or not, or if pressure creates diamonds, whatever the hell you say.
Yes.
Like that, we'll see which way it goes for Isaiah Thomas. Big next 6 weeks for this basketball team.
All right, moving on. The Houston Rockets hosted Orlando last night. Well, some of the Rockets hosted Orlando last night. All right, basically just James Harden hosted Orlando last night. Harden had 60 points to go along with 10 boards and 11 assists. First player in NBA history with 60 points and a triple-double. Rockets without Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza, and for most of the game, Eric Gordon. But James Harden.
What does it mean to you to be the first player in NBA history to have 60 points and a triple-double?
It's a good feeling, I guess. just try to go out there and make an impact every single night on the game. You know, however I can, whether it's scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, you know, whatever it is. And tonight I was doing everything.
Really just incredible insight into what James Harden's thinking, what his mindset was, just in his intentions, his goals in life.
He's an open book.
Honestly. How impressive was that performance last night?
Look, anytime you do something that has never been done,
How long they been playing basketball?
Well, the NBA, 70 years, 70, 71 years, whatever it is. Not just for that reason, though, but for the reason that in the 60s, we know Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson put up video game numbers.
30% more possessions. They were so fast, it's almost impossible.
The level of play among the other players.
Yes.
I mean, Wilt did things that we will never see done again, statistically. And so for you to do something Wilt never did or Oscar never did, it's incredible. This guy, he's so unusual because most of the stars today, you can point to some physical attribute. Kevin Durant, 7 feet tall, but plays like a guard. LeBron, just, you know,
never
huge.
seen that body size, power,
Steph Curry's
speed.
superhuman shooting.
Exactly.
Yes.
Westbrook, the explosiveness. Harden, not incredibly athletic.
No.
I mean, he is so skilled.
He's smart.
Smart, skilled. I never could have foreseen this with him coming out of college. A lot of people liked him,
absolutely.
but nobody saw this. He's phenomenal. He's going to be the MVP.
Listen, he won it last night. I just want, barring an injury, James Harden's the league MVP. Like, I'm the guy that says LeBron should have won 9 of the last 10. Given how the Cavs are playing, given the fact that the Rockets
team success,
no Chris Paul, no Trevor Ariza, no Eric Gordon, and by the way, James Harden's 55th and 56th point were on a step back to take the lead, and then he scored his final 4 points on one play, essentially. It was an and 1-3 to ice the game. This was, I'm going to go a step further that you guys might push back at. This was, to me, as impressive as Kobe's 81. Like, to see this game, 60, 10, and 11, in a closely contested game. Kobe's 81 was close at halftime, and then in the second half, they blew him out. I know the Magic were terrible. Well, that Raptors team was terrible. This was as impressive as any individual statistical night I've seen in the NBA.
Man, 81 is 81. Like, stop playing. Like, besides Wilt's 100, I mean, man, 81 is 81. Now, he talked about before, especially with that era of basketball, when you don't have players like Wilt, you didn't have players like Oscar, were able to duplicate the 60 triple-double. It stands by itself. But I'm not going to throw any shade at Kobe Bean Bryant, that 81, because that was an amazing. Kobe, how many did he get on his last night?
What? Oh,
60.
60. Okay. Not only did he have 81, but Kobe had another 60.
Listen, I think Kobe's most impressive game wasn't the 81. I thought it was the 62 points in 3 quarters.
Well, that's true. Some people think it was a 60 on his last night.
And again, I don't think it's throwing shade. I'm saying it's as...
It was that kind of special.
I'm not going to push back on you because Kobe had 2 assists. 81 points, but 2 assists.
I ain't got time to pass. I'm trying to get by this.
And I'm going to stick with the never been done because, 81 had been done as far as Wilt scoring 100.
And let me just, real quick, I just want to tell the audience one other thing. How lucky we are these last 2 years. Going into last season, in NBA history, there had been 2 50-point triple-doubles. One by Kareem, one by Wilt. In the last year and a half, Russ has 3, Harden has 3. So in all of NBA history, there had only been 2. There have been 6 by these 2 guys in the last year and a half, and one of them now is a 60-point triple-double.
Chris, you touched on this earlier, but finish the thought. What does James Harden do better than anyone else? What is it about him?
He's just so crafty. Right. He's almost like an old school guy. Before Michael Jordan, he's not the best shooter. He's a very good shooter.
Different ways that he can score.
Exactly. Because last night,
physically, he's not going to play above the rim. His ability to be able to understand basketball. He's almost like a savant when he's dribbling, getting open space, and he is a shot creator. He can shoot some shots. A lot like Kobe.
His moves, herky jerk. He's not,
unorthodox.
Just throws you off. Like if you think back pre-Jordan, the best basketball players weren't considered that athletic. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson.
Right.
You know, it was about skills and intelligence, craftiness, all that.
Yes.
That's what Harden is. He's almost like a throwback.
And he's a wildly underrated passer. One of the 5 best passers
tremendous
in the NBA.
passer, no question.
He doesn't get enough credit.
All right, Chris, we're going to see you a little bit later in the show. Coming up here, though, Hall of Famer Charles Davis joins us.